I born a baby. なぜかわかりませんが、出産の話になると言葉選びが難しいみたいですね。birth や born などいろいろな表現がありすぎて、どれを選べばいいか迷っている方がたくさんいると思います。必ずと言っていいほど、あれ今のちょっと違うなとなんとなく感じますね。子供を産むや出産するといった関連の言葉がなかなか口からスムーズに出ないという印象がありますね。大人の会話でね。多分ね、学校の英語の授業では出産の話は、カリキュラムにはあまり深まれていないような気がしますね。それは当然なことなんですけれどもね、まだ10代の子どもたちはそういう話は、まだ早いと言いますか、関係ないというか、なんていうのかな、あんまり合わないという感じがしますね。それはそれでね。でもやっぱり大人になるとこういうストーリーがよく会話に出ます。すっごく出ます。そしたらきちんとこういう話題に関してちゃんと話したいですよね。世界で一番幸せなことですからね。So I think this is going to be a really useful topic to help you talk about childbirth more confidently. We'll look at the problem, the reason, the solution, and some example sentences. This investigation is officially underway. First, let's look at the problem. I born a baby. I born a baby. Straight from the get-go, this is a very clear mistake. So much so that every time I typed it into my script, autocorrect kept telling me it was wrong. It was kind of annoying. Now, another version of this that I often hear is this one. I birthed a baby. How do native speakers feel when they hear these kinds of things? Don't get me wrong, it can be understood completely. It might take a bit of mental gymnastics, but the person you're talking to will probably get what you're trying to say. I've got some great news. Great news? What about? I'm an uncle. My sister born a baby last night. Ooh, a baby. That's definitely something to celebrate. Yeah, we're all so happy for her. She birthed at 10 p.m. She birthed. 10 p.m. is pretty late for everyone. After she born, she looked so happy. And do you have a nephew or a niece? She birthed a man. A man? Yes, it's a little man. Want to see a picture? A picture of the little man? Oh, sure, I'd love to. He looks just like my sister. Take a look. Oh, a man. Now I see what you mean. So that was a comedy of errors, but it seemed to work out all right in the end. When we're talking about babies, there are some grammatical rules that we have to follow when we're using the words birth and born. Oh, and one more point. When you're talking about babies, never refer to them as men or women. It makes it sound like you're talking about the plot of some kind of low-budget science fiction movie. Just use a baby boy or a baby girl. My sister born a baby man. We've really got to fix this. So why does it sound so strange? Well, first, let's take a look at the one that I hear all the time. I born a baby. So we have to understand that the word born does not exist in the English language. People are just getting confused. So it stems from the base verb, which is to bear. So the past participle of bear is born. But this is really old, archaic language. Nobody speaks like this anymore these days. In modern English, we usually use born as an adjective with the be verb. They were born in Tokyo. She wasn't born at the time. So don't use bear, bore, born as verbs. It just sounds very strange. How about the word birth? Now, yes, technically, it can be used as a verb. Grammatically, it is correct. But again, it is very old and hardly ever used in modern conversation. I imagine it being used in kind of movies like these. Lord of the Rings, or perhaps even Harry Potter. It has an oldie worldy feel that is perfect for those kind of fantasy or magical stories. He has been birthed. Birth is also used by livestock farmers. I mean farmers who keep animals like cows, sheep, or pigs. They have a tendency to use that kind of antiquated language just because of that kind of traditional world that they live in. But to be honest with you, birth on its own is most commonly used as a noun. The birth of my first child. I'm looking forward to the birth. And of course, people in Japan are extremely familiar with the word birthday. But when using the word birth, there are a few things that we got to pay close attention to. Let's look at that in the solution. Okay, got my drink, got my phone, got everything. Okay. The verb have is probably the most common way to talk about childbirth. You can use it at all stages during the pregnancy. We want to have a baby. We are trying to have a baby. I'm having a baby. My wife is having the baby. My wife had the baby. I wish I had the baby at home. It's pretty simple, really. Just use have. Now, the second most common way to talk about this kind of thing is give birth. This is a more formal way of speaking, but it's still used a lot in daily conversation. Unlike the verb have from before, this is only used for talking about the actual birth. It's not used for talking about wanting to get pregnant or getting pregnant or being pregnant. So the solution is this. When talking about babies, there are only two main choices. Have the baby, give birth to the baby. Don't be so quick to use birth and born as verbs. On a more serious note, but something which I feel is important in terms of vocabulary, we have the expression to have a miscarriage. She had a miscarriage in her 3rd month of pregnancy. Another way to say this is to lose the baby. After they lost the baby, they were devastated, but decided to try again. Another more controversial issue in society is the topic of abortion. To have an abortion. She felt she had no other option but to have an abortion. So as you can see, the verb have can be used in almost every situation when talking about pregnancy, childbirth, miscarriage, and abortion. They played relaxing music in the delivery room to soften the mood and help them relax. A delivery room is the room in the hospital where the baby is born. Yes, we're not talking about an Amazon delivery. The word deliver is another word that means to give birth. It's a more medical expression, but it's used all the time.
Congrats on the baby!
Thanks, man. I was there for the birth and it was the most unforgettable experience of my life. So if you were there with your wife to actually see the baby being born, you can say, I was there for the birth, to be there for the birth. But there are actually quite a lot of other different expressions. Here are some of them. My husband plans to attend the birth. My husband will be with me when I give birth. My husband wants to watch our child be born. Sarah wanted a natural childbirth, but the pain was so bad that she got an epidural anesthesia. In childbirth, an epidural is commonly used to manage labor pain, providing significant relief while allowing the mother to be conscious and participate in the delivery. My wife went into labor with our second child in the movie theater. We didn't get to see the ending. When you go into labor, it means that the baby is coming. In English, labor means hard work. So it's the beginning of a lot of very, very hard work for the mother. Jenna was taking her dogs for a walk when her water broke, so she called her husband to come. This is the first sign that the baby is on the way and that you're going into labor. So you can say, my water broke or my waters broke. It can be used in both the single and plural form, which is actually quite an unusual way of talking about water.